Alright, aka Padders, we're talking Stan Lee and Kiss, and maybe the greatest comic book promotion of all time. On this Sunday, let me present to you a news story for something that is long forgotten that proves how great Stan Lee was, not only as a comic book creator, but as a comic book promoter. He is the reason we're all here. Stan Lee and Kiss. Let's go. Alright, so if you guys are not familiar with all of this, Stan Lee and Kiss. He gets Gene Simmons. Gene Simmons says it was his idea. They're a little bit of conflation. I think Paul Stanley has taken some credit for it as well. Doesn't matter whose idea it was. It was one of the greatest great ideas when it comes to American comics you can ever imagine. The rock bands, Detroit Rock City, the band of bands, Kiss. That's right, guys. It's the Beatles and this mother effing Kiss. They are a collision course in my music world. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for that. But people, imagine being a kid. Imagine going to your local grocery store, local pharmacy, local ice cream parlor, local church, I guess, maybe. Not really, because we know KISS stands for something satanic army, whatever. Like, that acronym for KISS cracks me up. Go watch the Detroit Rock City movie if you want a little bit more of that. But no, Eddie Furlong. But yeah, people, imagine going to your local grocery store. You see a KISS magazine, a KISS comic book. And then, maybe in the background you heard this news story. And it all comes together. This magazine, reminisce with me. This magazine was printed with KISS's blood. They got KISS's blood in the ink to print the magazine. It is awesome. It's stuff of legend. It's stuff that still holds up today. All the attention that this volume gets as of right now is well deserved. This is the greatest comic book world, music world collision, smash that we have ever seen, and we have Stan Lee to thank for it. People, I've been on, like both sides of the Stan Lee discussion. Stealer, aggravator, he gets the credit. But people, that was the time, that was the business. He moved on. He moved on from where he was in those earlier days. A lot of those guys in that bullpen did not, including Jack Kirby. And Jack Kirby made enough money. He got enough of a bag himself. Just look at some of that Superpowers money. AKA Padders, Stan Lee, and Kiss. Let's go.
Tonight we have the last word in promotional stunts. Arcata Graphics in Depew will soon start printing a new comic book promoted as being printed with real KISS blood. News Center's Mike Hegedus was on hand today when the donors showed up.
A kiss, as defined by Dan Webster, is something pleasing, a caress, a gentle touch. But there's another kiss that isn't in Webster's. KISS, I'm told, is a big rock group on some level of music, appealing to that portion of the population that finds its collective voice changing and reads comic books. Speaking of which, KISS is going to have its own comic book soon, featuring the four strangely attired and hairy fellows to be printed by Arcata Graphics. Printed in, if you believe everything you're told, in real KISS blood. To that end, KISS flew into Buffalo today, yes, with a plane, a Brinks truck bringing a little white box, in which were, you guessed it, 4 vials of real KISS blood, which were summarily dumped into some printing ink for the old comic book. Isn't that wonderful? The whole thing was a classic public relations stunt, one which may or may not have been in bad taste, depending on yours, one which may or may not sell comic books. It would be nice to think that people won't be sucked in by this type of thing, but then maybe KISS knows something or reflects something about us that we don't see. Mike Hegedus, TV2 News Center.
A real classy act, guys.
Publicity is really one of the most important things in the world. You could have the greatest product in the world. If people don't know about it, it dies of boredom. So I love publicity, and as long as it's based on something. one day we decided to do a book based on the rock group Kiss. I had met, no, that's great, I forget his name, the guy with the long tongue.
Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I had met Gene Simmons. In fact, we've become quite friendly. And I remember when they first started, he and Gene Stanley came up to my office and they said, "What do you think of our costume?" And they had these boots with soles this thick that made them 6.5 feet tall. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, these guys are crazy. Shows what I knew. But anyway, we decided to do a comic book based on Kiss. And some publicity guy got the idea that they would go up to the printing plant where the books were printed, and each of the 4 members of Kiss would take a pin and just prick their finger and get a few drops of blood to come out and drop those drops of blood into the ink, into the red ink. I said, "You guys are out of your mind." He said, No, it's great. It'll get a lot of publicity. The idea being that every kid or everybody who bought a Kiss comic book in some way was getting a little bit of Kiss's blood in that comic book.
That's brilliant.
And sure enough, they chartered a plane. I went with them like an idiot. We flew up to Buffalo where the press was. And I'll never forget this. The city of Buffalo had been told that we were coming. And there were policemen stopping, 2 limousines were waiting. Policemen were at corners stopping traffic while we went to the printer. And all I could think of was this traffic that was stopped. There's probably some doctor going to save a person's life. There's probably some guy going to his job, which is an important job. These people are being stopped while 5 morons, the 4 of them and me, are going to go and drop some blood in a printing plant. But anyway, we went there and they put their little blood in there and we drove back. And tell you one thing, Gene Simmons has a photographic memory. On the plane going and coming, he was telling me, he's apparently a big fan, he was telling me, "Stan, do you remember that story you wrote in Spider-Man number 23, the 3rd panel on the 5th page when you..." He remembered I've never known literally a photographic memory. I was so impressed with him. He's really a nice guy and a shrewd businessman. But a drop of his blood is somewhere in one of those comic books, and there it'll stay.